everyone, welcome back to WCB Jazz Vinyl. I've got a maybe a more sort of casual video for you today because I had a couple of interesting shopping experiences while looking for vinyl, and I wanted to share those with you and kind of show you what I picked up, just as a window into what's currently out there as vinyl gets scarcer and scarcer and perhaps more expensive as well. So that's the topic for today. As always, before we dive in, hit like, hit subscribe, and you can follow me on Instagram at what_can_brown. All right, so two shopping experiences. One was a used bookstore, and the other one was just a record store while I was out of town. And I want to tackle both of them. So to give you some idea, so here in Atlanta, obviously, we have a number of used record stores. Although I will say that I'm always more impressed when I go to other cities, and maybe it's the newness of what they have. But in Atlanta, it just feels like it's harder and harder to find deals, and especially the type of stuff that I'm interested in feels harder and harder to find. We don't have any stores that I would say specialize in jazz. Jazz seems to be a little bit more of an afterthought. And so, it, like I said, it's just become a little bit harder. And yet, very recently, in fact, last Friday, give you some context, I'm driving home from work, which is on the north side of town, and I live in the southeast side of town. And on a Friday, it's like an hour and 20 minutes, even though I'm only going 20 miles. So making that commute is not something that I'm always super excited to do. And on a Friday, if I can figure out what my plans are going to be that night before I get home, that can help, because sometimes it eliminates the need for me to go all the way home. And that was the situation last Friday. I ended up meeting up some friends at a brewery, and then I was going to watch the boxing match later that night. And so what I did is I only had to drive maybe 5 miles, was able to pull off the highway, and then I had about an hour to kill before I was going to meet up my friends at this brewery. So I did a quick look to see if there's any record stores in the general vicinity, and there weren't, but there was a used bookstore, and that bookstore is called Book Nook. So I think that there's maybe 2 locations. There could be more in and around the Atlanta area. And this is one of those places that's just a cavernous bookstore. They also sell comics. They also sell some toys. A lot of their stuff is used. And, I mentioned it's cavernous. I mean, there's probably like 5 or 6 different rooms. And in a way, it almost feels like you're walking through somebody's house. But they've always had vinyl, okay? And the amount of vinyl that they have is not significant. There might be 2 sort of square boxes focused on any individual genre, and a lot of the stuff that you're going to find, like for example in jazz, you might find some Boots Randolph or Al Hibbler, or just kind of lesser artists. I mean, I'm sorry, nothing against them, but that's not the stuff I'm interested in. So when I go into this store, though, sometimes I will find something interesting, and that was the case today. Also, they keep a box of higher priced records behind the counter. Typically higher priced means that it starts maybe at $30, but it could go north of 100 depending on what they have. So so this, enough preamble, right? So this is what I picked up on this particular trip. Again, just kind of a random stop in while I was killing time. So the first thing that I picked up is Blue Mitchell's Many Shades of Blue, excuse me. So this is on the Mainstream label, and don't get me wrong, Blue Mitchell has I think 3 or so albums for Mainstream, and this is not one of the best ones. There's a large lineup here, but it's still super cool. This was $10, and the vinyl is in just really, really nice shape. This happens to not be a gatefold, and I almost want to say that some of those Mainstream titles gatefold. Anyway, on this album, in addition to Blue Mitchell, you have John Faddis, Marky Markowitz, Jim Bossy, all on trumpet, right? So there's like a trumpet lineup here. Otherwise, Joe Farrell on tenor, Selden Powell on tenor. Anyone else of note? Joe Beck on guitar. So I didn't own a copy of this, and I figured for $10 in a Mainstream record by one of my favorite trumpet players, I just thought it was a no-brainer. So the next one that I found, actually also a trumpet player, and I confess I wasn't really aware of this. So this was $11, and this is Randy Brecker's Score, right? Yeah, Score. I thought this was interesting because I'm finding more and more that I actually really enjoy the Brecker brothers. They supported a lot of artists that I really like, and I didn't own anything that was just a Randy Brecker record or any Brecker brothers led records. And yeah, this was $11. I took a look at the lineup and I noticed that Duke Pearson is actually the producer of it, in addition to the Brecker brothers, because not only, Randy's the leader, but his brother is on here as well. You have Jerry Dodgen on alto flute. You have Hal Galper on piano, as well as electric piano. Eddie Gomez on bass. Chuck Rainey on bass. Mickey Roker and Bernard Purdy on drums. That is a phenomenal, phenomenal lineup. And this was the era where you notice this is on Solid State. This was owned by Liberty, I believe. So this was at a time when Liberty owned both Solid State, as well as Blue Note, or maybe it was United Artists was the umbrella. But in any event, I thought that this would be a fun one to pick up. The cover's not in great shape and it's got some initials on it, but the vinyl's in great shape, and that's kind of what counts. So more of the score here, the success here, was actually two records on the Polish jazz label, and I certainly did not expect to find these at a used bookstore. So the first one, and perhaps the less interesting one, but still interesting, is this one right here. So jazz, let's see, Polish jazz, and it's titled Jazz Studio Orchestra of the Polish Radio. So, kind of fun cover. This is one of those that's like that super flimsy material, because it actually is, it's Polish, and all the Polish jazz stuff has this like really flimsy kind of cover that makes it susceptible to rips and tears and bends and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of unfortunate. But I thought that this was pretty cool just to see at this random store. And then the other one, and certainly the find of the day, even though I'm excited about each of these, is this one right here. So Polish Jazz Quartet. I was certainly aware of this record, but never had the opportunity to grab one, and certainly not one for such a ridiculous price. It was like $30. So I can't. I'm not going to pretend to be able to pronounce some of the musicians that are on this, but this seems to be. I say seems to be. I've listened to this. It's phenomenal music, and it sounds really, really good. So this is an original stereo pressing. Heard from some people that mono is the version to get, but what can you do? This is what I was able to find. So yeah, this is definitely one to add to your want list. I think it sounds fantastic. Go preview it. It's yeah, just like, I don't know. It's kind of it's kind of hard to describe, but it's kind of moody and a little I don't know. Intense isn't the right word, but go preview it. I'm still kind of trying to process some of the stuff. I've listened to everything at least once, but sometimes these things take more than one listen. All right, so the next stop that I want to talk to you about, so not the same day, different trip, but I happened to be in Rochester, New York for a wedding, and while I was there, I'd heard a lot about Bop Shop Records. It's a jazz-focused record store that happens to be, sort of on the outskirts of town, I suppose. But I was there on a Sunday. They were open, and yeah, I had to stop in. And I don't recall exactly how much time I spent there. Maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half. But I could have spent hours there. They just had a ton of stuff. Really good quality, great prices, super friendly staff. They recognized me, which is kind of funny. It does happen every so often, actually. So get this: I was at that brewery, right? So in my previous story, this is now coming to mind. I was at that brewery, and we were like eating and having some beers, and this guy came up to me and he's like, I'm visiting from Nova Scotia, and I recognize you from your channel. So if you're out there, hello again. But I thought that was really funny, because it's not that common that somebody would recognize me, and it's funny that they did it while they were sort of out of town or traveling or whatever. And yeah, I mean, especially out of context. It's one thing for somebody to come up to me in a record store, which happens every so often, but to be at a brewery, like, that was, and from somebody who's out of town, that was just kind of a funny coincidence. So anyway, the folks at Bop Shop, also, I suppose, recognized the channel. And so that was kind of fun. And I got to talk to them and perhaps see a little bit more of the shop than I otherwise would have. So that was super cool. But I wanted to highlight some of the finds that I had, because I was just super excited to find some of this stuff. Some of this stuff I've never had the opportunity to own before, and they had like really nice condition stuff. Like I had like a bigger pile than what I ended up leaving the shop with because I was putting stuff back a little bit, trying to prioritize because I was going to spend too much money. Anyway, let's get to what I found, right? So this is the first one. This is Tenor's Head On by Bill Perkins and Richie Kamuka. It also has Pete Jolly, Stan Levy, and Red Mitchell on it. This is on the Liberty label, but this is like don't think Blue Note Liberty, think like Liberty, late mid to late 50s. And I've definitely been aware of this record. I've been looking for it for a while because the Richie Kamuka record that's on Mode Records is fantastic, and I'm a big fan of his. And I've like I said, I've been aware of this, but never had the opportunity to own it. And this is really, really clean. I paid $40 for it, but because of how clean it is, it's not even something that I sort of batted an eye at. It just made sense for me to grab it. So the other one, this is like I was really happy finding this because I've seen this record before, but never an original black deep groove label pressing. So this is Bean Bags by Milt Jackson and Coleman Hawkins. And so if you get the pun, Milt Jackson's nickname is Bags, and Coleman Hawkins' nickname is Bean, and so Bean Bags. Get it? So also on this record is Tommy Flanagan, Kenny Burrell, Eddie Jones, and Connie Kay. This is a fantastic lineup. It sounds amazing. I was so happy to get this. I think they feed off each other really, really well. And yeah, like I said, I've never like, it's not that expensive of a record, but I've never been able to come across a copy of that one. So the next one I've actually owned before, but it was a horrible condition copy, and this is a promo original mono, and this is Settling In by the Dick Morgan Trio. Joe Benjamin and Ben Riley joined Dick Morgan on this album, and this is great stuff too. I equate his playing very much to the Three Sounds, and I mean that in a good way. Like it's very energetic, it's very pleasant. He has a great touch to the keys. He plays with like kind of staccato-y sorts of notes. And again, I mean, this, like, again, look at how like sharp everything is on this. Like, it's not, I know it's not just like fetishizing the cover, but when you find a copy that has this clean of a cover, chances are maybe the vinyl will be clean as well. And that was the case for this. And obviously clean vinyl helps accentuate the listening experience because you could focus on the music and you don't have to worry about the cracks or the crackle in the pops, right? I can even get this in this sleeve. All right, so that's the second one. The third one I wanted to bring up, I thought was a fantastic deal. I actually thought they underpriced this. So this was priced at $35, and it's Clifford Jordan and Sonny Red's A Story Tale. So this includes Tommy Flanagan or Ronnie Matthews on piano, Art Davis on bass, and Elvin Jones on drums. And this is an original mono, and on Jazzland, right? The Riverside subsidiary. So really excited for this. I actually own a copy. However, my copy is not in nearly as good shape as this. This is like super clean. So I'll be upgrading mine and kind of selling my existing copy. This next one, I also thought for some reason maybe was priced right, or maybe was a little underpriced. I don't know, but I've owned a fantasy reissue of this before, and never an original, but this is an original. So I found My Little Cello by Oscar Pettiford and his jazz groups. It's possible that this was released on the debut record label in Denmark first, but this is the US fantasy edition, but it's the original US fantasy edition, so it's like a deep groove red label. And yeah, I've never had the opportunity to own an original. Julius Watkins plays in this, Walter Bishop, Charles Mingus, who else? Some other folks I haven't necessarily heard of, but it's kind of a combination of like 1953 recording and 1959 recording. And yeah, that was a fun one that I had to grab as well. And actually, this one I have not listened to yet, but I'm excited to do so. So the final one, and really the highlight of the trip, something I did not expect to buy, was Mal Waldron's Mal 4, right? So Addison Farmer and Kenny Dennis are in the lineup, and this is another situation where I had a copy. Actually, if you go over to eBay, if you go to my eBay handle, which is the same as the handle on this channel, you'll see my the cast off copy that I'm selling, right? So I'm keeping this one because this is in like super nice shape, like really nice shape. And the one I'm selling, I forget what it is. It's either like G plus or VG minus. So I've had a copy that's covered in hairlines. It actually sounds great. It's just that I had the opportunity to get this, upgrade the other one, and I couldn't pass that up. So yeah, fantastic trip to Bop Shop. I appreciate that store quite a bit. And next time I'm in Rochester, I'm definitely going to go back for more. All right, so I guess that's it for now. I've had a lot of other records come through the door recently, but just kind of wanted to highlight those two trips because, yeah, because I thought it'd be kind of fun. Yeah, I suppose that's it. Appreciate everyone's attention. Look out for some more, maybe some more Record Store Day content here coming up. We'll see, and yeah, I'll see you next time.